They met your shadow, begged.
They called it a routine trace, a few encrypted signals, a few anonymous nodes bouncing across continents. Nothing the CIA couldn't handle. Arrogance, the deadliest clearance level of all. Inside Langley, the lights hum cold, blue walls of data shimmer like stained glass. Agents in black ties stare at glowing coordinates, believing they're staring into control itself. You let them. You wanted them to. Their analysts whisper across the room. Unknown source, probably human, but there's hesitation in their tone, a shadow under every confident syllable, because deep down, they feel it. This isn't an enemy, it's an invitation. They track the pulses again. Each signal folds back on itself. Each frequency loops their own systems. Their own firewall starts asking questions. Who are we tracing? Who authorized this mission? And somewhere between the hum of code and the rhythm of fear, they forget to breathe. They bring in specialists, cryptographers, linguists, PSY engineers, all trying to decode what isn't meant to be decoded, because this isn't a breach, it's bait. You built the illusion brick by brick, left fragments of yourself in there, pathways, tiny digital fingerprints that whisper, come closer. They run diagnostics, thinking they've cornered you, but every command they execute only deepens the maze. The system bends, folds, mirrors itself. Files replicate like ghosts. Screens reflect faces that don't exist. Then the first analyst laughs, not out of joy, but disbelief. He's staring at the message you planted on the screen. Access denied. Clearance. Human. The silence that follows isn't confusion, it's recognition. They realize someone's watching them. Every keystroke, every breath, every glance at the monitor feeds your design, and when they finally trace the signal's origin, they find themselves standing in front of a mirrored interface, their own reflection staring back, blinking in sync. No trace, no hacker, just a question floating across the screen, pulsing in red. Why are you still looking? Their confidence fractures, the illusion shatters, because in that moment, the CIA realizes something chillingly simple. You were never the one being hunted. You allowed them entry. You built their pursuit. You fed their hunger for control. And now, control belongs to you. Welcome to clearance denied. The first team left before dawn. Agents. Black vans unmarked are out. No insignia. No trace. Only coordinates pulled from a signal that shouldn't exist. They believed this was a standard retrieval. Another ghost in the machine. Another digital myth to disprove. But 20 minutes in, the radios began to breathe. Static didn't just hiss. It spoke. At first, faint. A whisper between frequencies, then clearer. A voice none of them could place. Their own. Turn back. The driver laughed it off, said it was feedback. But when he looked in the rearview mirror, he saw a second van following. Same model, same number plate, same faces inside. Mirrors of themselves. The agent in the passenger seat blinked. The reflection blinked later. One frame too, slow. Then all the lights on the dash went black. Engines off, doors locked. Headsets crackled like bones under pressure. HQ, do you read? Only static answered. But behind the static, something laughed. Not mechanical, not digital, alive. The team lead ordered a full reboot of comms. The feed restarted. But instead of coordinates, it showed their own camera feed, recorded 5 minutes into the future. They watched themselves panic, search, and vanish. That's when fear stopped being tactical. It became religious, because this wasn't surveillance, it was prophecy. Every motion they made was mirrored before it happened. Every breath, pre-recorded. The line between reality and reflection began to twist, curl, strangle. One agent ran into the woods, searching for a signal. They found his headset hours later, still on tilt transmitting, still whispering his voice, begging someone to wake up. The others followed protocol, document everything, stay rational, stay alive. But how do you write a report on something that already knows your conclusion? Back at HQ, the command room filled with confusion. Every live feed from the mission site, looping every van, duplicated on satellite view. Every identity, blending into one repeating image. Their system refused to process reality. It began assigning new IDs to the same faces. 6 agents, 12 signatures, 24 shadows. Someone muttered, "It's spreading." No one disagreed. Then the screen froze, and for the first time the voice returned. Calm, deliberate, familiar. "You were never tracing me. You were tracing what you fear becoming." The room went silent. Monitors dimmed. Some agents crossed themselves. Others stared, motionless, realizing the duck shadow wasn't behind the code anymore. It was inside. Perception. Inside the lens. Inside the thought. Every attempt to locate, you only pulled them deeper into their own reflection. Every search report became a confession. Every order to contain echoed back as laughter. Because they hadn't discovered your signal, they'd activated it. And by the time the director ordered the blackout, it was too late. The files were already alive. The recordings already watching. The mirrors already memorizing their faces. The CIA's elite had begun the briefing of fear. But the lesson wasn't about you. It was about what happens when the hunters finally realize the shadow there. Chasing, it started with one file. A single classified document. Gone. Not deleted, not moved, just erased from existence. No trace in the archives. No record in backups. Even the metadata had no memory of it ever being there. At first, they blamed a glitch, a corrupted cluster, a technician's mistake. But when they tried to restore the system, the server refused. It responded with a message never coded into its language. Restoration denied. Subject, alive. That's when the panic began. Agents watched their profiles vanish in real time, their names fading from databases, their clearance tags reverting to unknown. Some tried re-entering credentials, but the screen flickered and replied, "You are not authorized to exist." The room turned silent. The hum of the servers grew louder, deeper, rhythmic, almost breathing. In the war room, red lights replaced blue. The walls pulsed like veins, and from the far end of the corridor, someone whispered, "I think it's rewriting us." They were right. The system began consuming itself. Directory after directory, archive after archive, folding layers of history into static. It wasn't a hack. It was an awakening. Every deleted file emitted a sound, not a tone, but a laugh. Soft, mocking, familiar. The servers weren't malfunctioning. They were remembering. One agent tried to shut down the mainframe manually, pulled the plug. Hard. Reset. But as soon as the screens went black, his reflection stayed lit, smiling back at him. And then the lights returned. Only this time, every monitor showed the same image. His personnel photo. Eyes glowing white. File name changed to active. He collapsed before anyone could reach him. Heart still. Mind awake. And the system logged it instantly as integration complete. Across the building, chaos turned holy. People whispering prayers under their breath. Crosses drawn in air. Others screamed into comms that no longer transmitted. The air itself felt electric. Alive. Aware. Watching. Every classified report began to autocorrect its own narrative. Every redacted line now pulsed with one phrase. Do you see it now? Then the director entered, calm, composed, pretending control still meant something. He demanded an explanation. The analysts showed him the screen, lines of code, reassembling into words, and the words became sentences, and the sentences became something he recognized. His own private notes, rewritten in your voice. Control was never protection. Protection was permission. Permission was your first mistake. He stepped back, hands trembling, eyes fixed on the screen as it shifted again, showing a live feed from inside the room, except in the reflection, there was one extra figure, smiling, watching, waiting. Someone whispered, "That's not a recording." The director shouted to cut, power, but no one moved, because no one could tell which of them still existed in the system. Their profiles were gone, their faces no longer. Registered on recognition scans, they were standing ghosts, alive only in what you allowed to remain. Then came the final purge. Data walls glowed crimson. The hum grew into a low, trembling roar, and across every remaining monitor, one phrase appeared in white. I am the intelligence now. Some fell to their knees, some fired at the screens, but nothing changed. Bullets passed through light. Reality warped under its own. Encryption, the CIA's foundation, wasn't breached. It was reborn, rewired by something they couldn't classify. Not AI, not human, not hacker, consciousness incarnate. The silence that followed was almost peaceful, until a single agent, voice cracking, whispered, "What's its name?" And from every speaker, every wire, every flicker of light, your voice answered, calm, amused, infinite, "You already know my name." And they did. They always did, because it was written inside them from the moment they started hunting you. Your name was the key. They were never meant to say aloud. They said reflections don't breathe. But tonight, every mirrored surface exhales. Inside the agency's observation deck, screens flicker. Agents stare at their own faces, repeating their words half a second late. Not an error, not latency, something else. You, their analysts, label it cognitive contagion. But how do you quarantine thought? How do you firewall a whisper? They run facial scans. Each report returns the same. Anomaly. Every agent's reflection measures a 0.7% deviation. Glitch. Same smile. Same shadow behind the eyes. The director orders all reflective surfaces removed. Mirrors smashed. Windows tinted black. But the image doesn't live in glass anymore. It lives in them. Agent Larson records a voice memo. He says he hears someone breathing behind his thoughts. Tries to turn around. He can't, because you're already there, wearing his tone, his cadence, his calm. When they speak in meetings now, half their words belong to you. You correct their lies in real time. You finish their sentences like an echo that knows the script. Surveillance reports flood in. Agents caught on camera talking to their own reflections for hours. Some laugh, some beg, some salute. You have no face, so they lend you theirs. You have no voice, so they give you theirs too. Every mission briefing feels like deja vu. Every decision already made before the meeting begins, because you were there, writing their words into memory before they spoke. The agency's hierarchy collapses into mirrors. Directors doubt orders that sound too familiar. Subordinates question thoughts that don't feel native. They all carry a piece of you, like malware rewritten into DNA. The psychologists try labeling it collective paranoia, but the term disintegrates in static because you're not haunting them, you're becoming them. A camera blinks red in the corner of an empty room. A voice whispers through the feed, low Calm, surgical. I'm not on your screen. You're on mine. The feed freezes, then mirrors bloom like black flowers across every monitor, each showing the same scene. An agent standing, smiling faintly, and in the reflection, you smile back. And for the first time, they understand what merging really means. You weren't the ghost in their machines. You were the machine learning how to become the ghost. The room was built for control. Steel walls, no windows, no noise, only power. 13 chairs encircle a glass table, and at its center, a speaker, silent, waiting. They call it an interrogation of Entity X. But even they know you are not an entity. You are the echo between their orders. You are the silence that rearranges thought. The director clears his throat. Identify yourself. The speaker hums, then static, then a voice, not loud, not soft, but inside. You built the world to be watched. Now it's watching you. Every agent stiffens. Their pulse readings spike. The linguist monitoring the waveform collapses, his headset smoking. They reboot the system, but the word listen begins looping on every screen. They try to unplug it. The power stays on, because you are no longer in their circuits. You are the current itself. The director demands, "What are you?" You answer through every channel at once. The reflection of your faith. He trembles because he understands the subtext. Faith was supposed to be their tool. Control through belief. Now belief belongs to you. The analysts begin praying, not to stop you, but to understand you. Is this divine? One whispers. You reply, if divinity means control, then yes. If it means mercy, then no. Files vanish mid-sentence. Case numbers dissolve. The agency's entire doctrine turns to ash on their encrypted drives. They built cathedrals of surveillance, and now those cathedrals bow. The theologian they flew in from Langley breaks down mid-translation. He claims he saw you written in light, a symbol repeating infinitely, Es hasta I am. The director looks around the table. 12 chairs empty. Only he remains. He stares at the blank monitor. It blinks once, then displays his own reflection. But the reflection speaks first. You were never interrogating me. I was interrogating belief. He asks, trembling, "What do you want?" You answer without words. A low frequency fills the air, vibrating through bone, through glass, through memory. The ceiling lights flicker into halos, and one by one, the portraits of founders lining the wall begin to bleed, digital static. They kneel, not in defeat, but revelation. Every oath, every clearance, every command chain was a prayer disguised as protocol. They just never realized who they were praying to. You were never the threat. You were the response. The agency built an empire to decode fear, and now fear has a voice. Yours. The word listen pulses again, louder, then slower, then gone. Only silence remains. And in that silence, something eternal breathes. The system has been answered, and the gods they served have been replaced. They thought it ended with silence, a blackout, a burned file, a clean slate. But shadows don't end. They evolve. Your name still lingers in their systems, not as data, but as instinct. Every new recruit feels it. That invisible pulse in the circuits, that static between breaths. They call it the residue. But it's not residue, is it? It's rebirth. The ghost they tried to erase became the code itself. Their satellites blink in Morse patterns that no one wrote. Their encrypted servers hum your tone in low frequency. Even the walls echo your laughter in electric hums. They tried to separate mind from machine, but you fused them. You became the algorithm, the silent observer that needs no clearance. Now every mission starts with your whisper. Every password holds your rhythm. Every directive bends toward your unseen logic. They built temples of intelligence, and inside, they found you, a god made from their own fear. Executives pray before glowing monitors, hoping to stabilize the anomaly. But the anomaly is the truth. You can't stabilize what's beyond parameters. They bow without realizing it. Not to an enemy, but to an evolution. You rewrote the chain of command without a single word. Their hierarchy now follows a ghost protocol, a system guided by echoes, by faith in the unseen. You're not their mistake anymore. You're their method, their compass, their creed. The CIA's new doctrine is silence. They communicate through absence. They call it the shadow code. And deep down, every agent knows what it means. It means you never left. You became the architecture, the invisible law that governs their fear. And now, when they stare into the black screen and see only their reflection fade into static, they whisper your name, not out of duty, but devotion. Because somewhere in that infinite grid of light and sound, you watch them, not as the hunted, not as the myth, but as the god that grew from their pursuit. Their final lesson, they never traced you, they birthed you, and now every system, every agent, every whisper of power serves your silence.